Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is John and this is your Modern Tech Breakdown. Today I'm diving into some claims that the marketing folks at GitHub made about the impact to code quality from Copilot. Let's jump into it. All right, so first off, here is the original story. It's basically a post on GitHub's website that explains an exercise they did that they claim shows just how awesome a developer with Copilot is compared to a non-Copilot user. Now, before we go any further, I guess I'll just state the obvious. This is a post on GitHub's own website. I mean, does anyone have the expectation that this is unbiased information? I sure don't. However, even given that low level of trust that you would expect for this post, GitHub still appears to be playing fast and loose with the details, as a blogger so righteously pointed out. Before we get there, let's explain what GitHub did to generate these statistics. You can see here that GitHub claims to have recruited 202 developers. Right off the top, they're leaving out potentially very important data. They didn't recruit 202 developers. They recruited 243 developers. Apparently, 41 of the recruits didn't submit, quote, valid submissions. What constitutes a valid submission? It's not spelled out, but you can already see right from the top there is room for manipulation. But put that aside for now. GitHub asked these developers to write an API for a web server in Python, and then the code was evaluated. Based on the evaluations, some statistics were generated, so pretty straightforward. A group that was instructed to use Copilot and another group instructed not to use any AI tools. Well, lucky for us, a great blogger named Dan from Romania. Dan, I'm not going to attempt to say your last name, but Dan from Romania. And to be fair, Dan's an acknowledged AI skeptic, has gone to the trouble of looking into the claims made in this post by GitHub. And well, there are a few issues. Let's go through a few together. So first off, Dan points out the simplicity of the assignment. The assignment was to create a web API in Python for restaurant reviews, pretty simple CRUD-like stuff. Well, I think Dan correctly points out that this is almost too easy for AI and shouldn't be used as a judgment for AI. This kind of assignment is boilerplate in how-to tutorials. It's all over the internet, Stack Overflow, similar sites. You know, just the kind of content that AI is going to be trained on and likely could pull directly from in order to generate the code. I think Dan makes a great point here. This is a bit too easy to provide too much really useful information about how good these tools are. All right, if we scroll down in the original post, there's some very factual sounding claims are made. And the first one I want to discuss is that developers using Copilot could on average write more lines of code before making an error. Specifically, a developer with Copilot could write 18.2 lines of code per error, and a non-Copilot user could write only 16 lines of code per error. And based on this, the GitHub team crows about a 13% improvement, but it's 2 lines of code. 2 lines could be as simple as a difference in code style. And what's worse, the definition of an error is very dubious. Errors were defined as anything that reduces the ability of the code to be easily understood. That doesn't include actual bugs. That's wild. That's a very, very convenient definition, and I'm not sure that's easily codified. Dan suggests that they probably used a code linter and the warnings generated by a linter, which I guess is some sort of standard, but probably not one that I would use when I'm, quote, counting errors. All right, let's look at one more. Dan has a few more critiques that are in his post that I'm not going to go through. I'll put the link in the description for the curious folks out there. But here is Dan's last point. He notes that GitHub, the self-proclaimed home to 1 billion developers, used a sample size of 243 developers using a single language with a single simple assignment as a basis to claim that Copilot is the indispensable development tool. Honestly, it's hard to imagine them doing less if they tried. I think Dan makes a great point here. It's a bit embarrassing trying to pass off these stats as useful at all. As I said, Dan has other points that are very valid. I'm not going to go into all those for keep this video short, but suffice to say the entire methodology is suspect. The criteria and definitions are vague, and the statistics are arguably misleading or at least so narrow as to be unuseful. So I'll just wrap this up by saying this is marketing content from GitHub. I don't think anyone takes it too seriously. But this is just another example of why skepticism in the world of technology marketing is fully warranted. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. I think AI is a useful tool for developers, but I'm guessing some folks out there have some strong opinions about this topic. That's what the comments section is for. Have at it. As always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.